Hey, what's up? What's up, y'all?
Hey, everybody.
Brian and Erica with you guys with the Be Healed podcast. Hey, we're excited to be going live today to just talk about some good things today.
Well, not so good things because we're talking about trauma,
Yeah, but it's going to
but
bring good things by talking about
that's exactly what it's going to be.
it.
Now, everybody, seriously, welcome to our Be Healed podcast. We are really trying to focus on building a legacy of loving relationships, powerful marriages,
Yes.
and then just living purposeful lives. It's just like there's so much going on in this world today that it's just I don't know, just this is just so whack out here.
Yeah. And as you come in, of course, say what's up, say hi. Um, you know, say, how you doing if you know us,
Right.
but for real though, that
Hey, hey, hey.
hey, what's up,
Telly,
Telly? Hey. So,
what's going on?
others out there as you guys come in and as we're talking, of course, like we said, if you have questions, make sure you ask your questions and hopefully we can get to it in the time allowed.
Right.
And so
That's the plan.
yeah, that's the plan right there. That is the plan. And so again, we're just excited to be able to come together today as the Be Healed podcast. As we talk about today, dealing with trauma, and we try and give everybody a few minutes to get in before we start, so that way you can hear everything. Hey, what's up, Rena?
Hey.
As y'all
So,
see, yeah,
yeah,
you
that's what I
gonna
was
say
gonna
it?
say.
Okay,
So we sporting our Hawaii t-shirts because like what was it, like a year and a half ago?
yeah,
We went to Lahaina
Lahaina, yep, and
in
Maui,
Maui. And we're sporting our Maui t-shirts and our Hawaii t-shirts because a lot of you are aware of what's going on out there. Everything is kind of burning down.
yeah,
And in light of what's happening, we're wearing our shirts. So, everybody just out there is praying for them,
yes,
for their safety. It's just really sad. I couldn't imagine, like, not just my home burning down, but you're talking about homeland.
yeah,
And those people really take pride
yeah,
in where they live and they feel like their land is really sacred. And so I know it's a tough time for them right now.
and it just so happened we're dealing with trauma, and
And
that's
that's
what,
traumatic.
yeah, that's what they're going through right now.
Yes.
And those situations are going to stick with them for the rest of their lives. It was actually the area we stayed in was actually the area that we saw was burned down from the news. And so, like I said, we just want to represent them so you guys can
Yeah.
be praying for them. They can bring your hearts and minds.
Oh, hello. We
Yeah.
love y'all.
You see, you're good at that. I wasn't good at that. I messed it up every time, but I can remember.
I was like one of the people in there, y'all.
I can remember do that for them right
Yeah,
there.
there you go. I was like one of the people. Like we all in this together. For a minute, I was just gonna miss my plane and stay out there for a little longer. But you know, my kids did kind of need me, so
Yeah.
I had to come back.
So for those that don't know us, introduce ourselves again. I'm Brian DeLosa.
And I'm Erica DeLosa. I'm his wife. You know,
Yeah.
we're married.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Been married. And I remember y'all 21 in like 8 months. So it's about to be 22 years. So
I thought you were about to get it wrong.
okay. Can't get that wrong.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah.
Hey, Cherie. Hello. Hang loose. That's right. Oh my goodness, y'all. I'm in like tears, like just I don't know. It's so beautiful.
You're gonna struggle doing this
I am
the
like
trauma thing as we're talking
no,
about.
I won't. It does feel pretty traumatic right now.
Yeah.
I plan on going back like once every 2 years, and right now I'm like very like I'm trying to figure things out. But in any case, we're glad you're here, and we're here to talk about trauma. And really how it impacts our lives. And, we learned a lot about what it could do because of our marriage and how it impacted our marriage and, how all of that kind of transpired.
Yeah. And it was a thing where with talking about trauma, because we do a marriage retreat, weekly,
Yeah.
a weekly marriage retreat, group. And one of the things that was one of the most talked about things was trauma.
Yep.
And people were really interested in it, want an understanding of it. And when you look actually at marriages and you look at people just lives alone, that's why it's not just for married couples, but lives alone, that when you have it when lives are breaking down, people can't get what they want to get with businesses, quitting jobs, quitting marriages, having a hard time struggling in life, accomplishing things, they don't recognize it's actually because of hidden trauma.
Yep. I mean, even when it comes to communication in
Yeah.
marriage,
Yes.
typically that's one of the huge barriers that stops that effective communication.
Yep.
Not only that, you have those relatives and friends that'll cut people off for
Mhm.
sneezing wrong.
Yep.
You like, hey, shoot, we not cool anymore. But
Yeah, everybody got a couple of those.
It's not because they just like cutting people off. They feel wounded.
Yes.
They feel hurt. But what they don't tend to realize is there was some trauma there that set those wounds up. And now it's like, I can't get beyond this. And so instead of allowing somebody else to wound me, I'm just going to cut them off.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier. It's easier not to deal with the hurt, and it's a safer thing. So that's why most people go their route, because I don't want to deal with the situation. I don't know why I don't want to deal with it no more. But all I know is there's people, the new phrase today, that made me feel some type of way. Yeah. That's what we say. That made me feel some type of way. So I'm done with that. And so guess what? If I'm single and every time I get in a relationship, something they do reminds me of something else, I don't know why, but I always end it, break it down, shut it down, because I don't want to just deal with this again, but I have no idea where it's coming from.
Yes.
Because of past trauma.
And we don't know that there could be patterns of things that we didn't like from our past, whether it was a past relationship, or like just, your upbringing from your past, where you see a pattern or something you didn't like, and all of a sudden, that's not the one right there.
Yeah.
That's not the one. I'm gonna go ahead and move on. And it's like the person sitting there like a deer in headlights, like, you just gonna move on, like what happened? But it's typically rooted in trauma, where people are like, I can't stay because I don't feel safe and comfortable.
Yeah. And that's where the issue of it becomes so deep. Yeah. Because it is so underlying. It is so hidden that people have no idea what is going on.
Let's talk about deep.
And you want to talk about deep?
Let's talk about deep.
Okay, I'm
listening.
listening.
Talk about deep.
All right.
Because I'm gonna tell y'all, for years I didn't think he liked me. I was like, oh, why would somebody marry somebody they don't like? I don't understand that.
Well, you're gonna go right in on me once we start.
What?
Okay, go ahead.
It has an ending.
I know.
This is
yeah, because we still here 22 years later. Yeah. So okay, so we still good. Go ahead.
This is the beginning. This is the first part. So here we go. We're gonna talk about this. I was like, okay. I mean, that's just who marries somebody they don't like. And let me tell you why I thought he didn't like me. I mean, there were other reasons where I figured he did like me, but
I was married to a ring.
Okay. It wasn't the ring, but here we go. I'm like, hey, babe, let's go out to eat. Let's just go somewhere. And he like, cool. Let me call such and such, and they can meet us there, and this person can meet us there.
Rewind.
Wait.
It wasn't going out to eat. It'll be things we talk about. Well, let's go.
Well,
wait, was it? It was that bad?
Well, absolutely.
No, I thought it was like more like going out of town and stuff.
Okay. See?
Going somewhere like further away.
By we, I mean we sometimes have memory lapses.
Okay.
So, yeah, it was even that deep. Let's go out to eat. Oh, okay. Shoot, such and such likes their restaurant. They probably want to come too. And what about such and such and such and such? And I'm just hearing, and you hear I'm saying such and such because I can't half remember names because I was just heated. Like, you can't go anywhere with me. What, am I boring? Like, what's the problem?
Yeah.
I can't hold a conversation. What's the deal? And so then, he would see the look on my face sometimes because it would be real stank. And then he would just go, yeah, let's go. And we get to the restaurant, y'all. This was him the whole time. I'm talking, mind you. I'm there talking. Because, before you get food, once you get food, you stop talking.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, before you get the food, it's conversation time. And the whole time I'm talking, looking very uninteresting because he. Yeah. Okay. So heated, right? I'm like, what's the problem?
So can I explain the problem, or you want to keep going?
No, I still have a couple
more
more examples.
Okay.
Sorry, you got tough skin. You can handle this. So in any case, I would be at the restaurant like, You done looking around, or it, can I get your attention over here a little bit? You know, it it was early in our marriage, so like the smart mouth thing, I really didn't quite have that under
Mm-hmm.
control.
What's up, Will? By the way,
So wheel man. Yeah, that thing was kind
yeah.
of, it would just ramble. I just had a lot to say and it just would fall out my face. But in any case, he'd be like, no, I'm listening. I'm listening. No, I'm paying attention. Like, okay. So in any case,
Do any of y'all deal with that when y'all go out with your significant other, your husband or spouse? I mean, you could just type it in the comment, but you go ahead and keep telling your story. I don't mean to.
no, no.
cut you
Oh,
off.
you're fine.
Yes.
No, I was
Yes.
just saying, like, I had never like seen it.
Oh. Okay. Let it just.
It's gonna fall. I want to break. I'm gonna put it up with something.
Okay. Go ahead. You talk.
You got
I'm
that?
got the
Okay.
live sign.
Ooh,
There we
okay.
go.
In any case, so look, I was just like, well, you know what? Okay, I don't know what's going on. And so he would say, I'm engaged in the conversation. We're good. We're good. It's not a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I stopped wanting to go anywhere because I just kind of really got tired of feeling like he was ignoring me, because I felt like he was ignoring me when we would go out just alone. He was fine. That was the thing. When other people were around and they did come with us in a group, all of that neck switching didn't happen like that. And so I was like, okay, it's me. And I took it very personally. And I didn't know there was an underlying issue that was rooted in trauma from his life, because it's not anything we had talked about. And even when we did talk about it, we didn't talk about it deeply enough for me to understand that it was having an effect on our marriage.
Yeah. So for my end, that I finally get to talk now.
Yeah.
What was happening was that with me growing up in the area I grew up in, it was very violent. And so you didn't go out by yourself. You didn't go out by yourself. You make sure you always had your boys with you. You always made sure you're going to be 10, 12, 15, 20 deep so you could be safe. And when you were from my area, you got caught by yourself, you got hurt. So it didn't matter. I wasn't living that lifestyle anymore. When you grew up your whole life like that, even when I got older and we're married now, I still always was watching my surroundings for safety.
Plus, you got into a lot of fights.
And I got into a lot of fights. Okay, that was a part of it too. So because of that, I didn't know that, that was playing a role. And I didn't know I was looking around like that when we were together. She would say stuff to me. I'm like, no, I'm looking at you. I'm paying attention. And she like, no, you're not. And so that situation right there was causing her what she felt I was uninterested in her. She felt like that I didn't want to be there with her. She didn't think I wanted to go out with her. And I love going out with her. And I didn't know why I always wanted a group of people with me. I didn't know I was in the mindset of their safety in numbers. And so all those things were still plaguing me, even though this was years after coming out of that type of lifestyle. I was still struggling to be able to enjoy going out with her. And so earlier when I said, oh, I thought she was talking about something else, because when she wanted to go out of town and go different places out of town, at that point, I'm like, hey, I'm going to ask my family, you want to go? Or she'll ask me, and she could tell I was uninterested in going. And she could tell, I'm like, oh, I guess we could. And she like, okay, you know what? Forget about it. And
I was offended.
Yeah. And so finally, it was to the point I really said, okay, what's going on? Because she asked me, why don't you want to just go out of town with just me and you? So I had to really sit back and pray about it, saying, what is going on? I'm talking about this years after being married, not right at the beginning of the marriage of her going through this. And what it was is that, thank God, the Lord brought it back to my memory about me being lost as a kid. Me and my brother in the mall, and the family was in the mall. My brother was supposed to be keeping an eye on me. I went to get water with him. He took off. My older brother dipped. I looked up. He was gone. I was in the mall lost. I was probably like, I don't know, about 3-4 years old. I was young. And they had to take me to the security area. And I was in there for a while. And they looking for me, calling the name on the mic. And they finally came and got me. And I didn't think about that situation no more. But I knew I was afraid of going out of town because I didn't want to get lost.
Right.
I was terrified about getting lost. And so I didn't like going out of town. So we're talking about a little bit back in the day. We didn't have GPSs and all the Google Maps. No, you had a map in your hand. If you had that, so you would always easily get lost. I didn't want to get lost ever. So guess what?
I was good at reading maps though.
Yeah. And what she said to me was, but you went all type of places with the basketball team and college basketball, your family. I said, but there were people with me. I didn't have to worry about being alone and being lost.
And I wasn't people. I was a person.
Yeah. Because first of all, we got to throw hands. I don't, she 5'1". But but being lost, and she would bring up how her and her mom would just go on road trips together. And I was like, y'all just go drive place? She's like, yeah. I said, what if you got lost? And she's like, we just go get help.
Go stop at a gas station and say, okay, we're lost.
Yeah, my heart about fell out my mouth.
Or if you like at a toll road, you can ask the toll booth people.
Exactly.
That's when there
So
were people in
that
there.
trauma made it where we were not going out to do things. And not going out of town far place, not just right across in Illinois.
And you see how that can really affect
Yeah.
your intimacy, your time together, and all of that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Seems like you got something else you want to talk about.
It was good, because once we were able to kind of like resolve that, it was never an issue again. And I'm thankful, but it took some time to be able to resolve it. So, but it wasn't just him. I'm messing with him and doing all, trying to be funny with him. But the truth of the matter is, I think the trauma that I experienced had more of a negative effect on our marriage, even then.
And I do want to say that before you start, is that we have to understand when we say everybody comes in with some type of trauma in marriage. You could be single in your life. And you got to understand, if you were in a situation where you grew up in a single family home, you grew up with trauma.
Yes.
A whole person was missing.
Yeah. That everybody after a certain age, you kind of know they're supposed to be there. Yeah. It's like you look around and you see mom and dad. And then, the child gets to a certain age, and if one of their parents isn't around, they kind of go, so where's mine at?
Yeah, when you look around seeing other people, two-parent households, or you grew up in a home and your parents had a divorce. Mm-hmm. That's trauma. You, especially if you've been through one yourself, that's trauma.
Yes, it is.
If you deal with a situation where you had a parent that was on drugs or alcohol, trauma.
Any type of abuse, whether it was at the hands of a parent or in a relationship, that's traumatic.
Traumatic. People went through any type of sexual, physical abuse. Yep. And you grew up and you guys were poor, didn't have much money. And so you had to really struggle. That's trauma.
If you were bullied, maybe because the way you look, like how when somebody just said something about my height, like if your height was like not normal and you were bullied for that, even as an adult, it could be traumatic.
Wow, she's not throwing zingers right in there. Well, zing. She don't even try. It's right on the tip of her tongue. And so so I know, like with your situation, you were in a situation where you were in a single parent home.
Yep.
And because of what you went through with being a single parent home and what was going on with your dad, you were growing up in trauma.
Right. So a lot of people didn't know, because I always wanted that part of my life hidden. I didn't want it to be out there that my father dealt with alcoholism. And so I never mentioned it. If anything ever came up about my dad, I'd be like, that deadbeat. And just have, jokes or kind of try to, just really change the subject, because I didn't want people to know about how my dad was. Mm-hmm. And although he was like this amazingly smart individual, when he used and drank alcohol, which was very regularly, daily, he turned into a different person. And that person was not livable. Yeah. Like you could not live with him.
Yes.
He was violent. He was mean when he was drinking. And it was him being around was a total disruption to our family.
Yeah.
And so I didn't like people to know about it. And some of the experiences that we had together, me and him, really did end up, unfortunately, rearing its ugly head when it came to, some of the things that we went through. Because all it took was just a little something where my brain identified either the emotion, or the situation somewhat resembled what I had gone through. All of a sudden, all those negative emotions that I used to feel would come and be present in my heart during an argument.
Yeah.
And it could have been something small, but in my mind, I would always make it much larger.
Yeah.
Because of what I had been through. And, people always say, use the phrase like, oh, they have daddy issues or whatever like that. Well, it's nothing to laugh about or joke about because, that's the real thing.
Yeah.
I remember even sometimes like us talking on the phone and
Who you talking about? Us? You
me
and
and my dad.
Okay.
And because he dealt with alcoholism, I would talk to him one day. He would be asking me about, what I plan to do in my future, all those things. And the next day he would call and he would ask me the same question, the exact same question. And I'm like, Daddy, we talked about that yesterday. And he just always would forget everything we talked about because he always called when he had been drinking. I think it was like a guilt thing, I don't know, because, sometimes it can heighten emotion. In any case, there would be sometimes with this beautiful man over here.
Oh, it's going bad. Compliment first. That's part of the
negative
communication right there. Give the positive before the negative. Okay.
He's amazing. But he would not have remembered quite a bit.
So when it happened, it was here into this area where I'm like, wait, okay, I just didn't. You just gonna keep drinking my coffee up, huh?
It's best.
You always talking about how sweet it is, but it's good.
It's really good today.
I like it light.
It's real light skin.
Yeah, exactly how I like my wife.
Okay,
and sweet.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But and so it would end up, it could easily quickly send her into a spiral because
of being very upset
because I didn't remember what she said. And it could have been simply as her saying, "Hey, remember tomorrow that we're gonna need to run to the store to do this." And I'll be like, oh, "Okay, cool." And then afterwards, she'll be like, "Hey, we need to run. You ready? We need to run to the store." I'll be like, "What you talking about?" And she'll be like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I don't remember you telling me that."
Had a whole discussion.
Yeah. And so it because of that, it was causing problems. She let me know, hey, when we have a conversation and things are tough and we need to talk about it, I don't need you to give me time to just sit by myself. I need you to talk to me.
Yes.
But I understand because of what she went through in the past, and she didn't understand at that moment exactly what it was. She didn't need to I need to let her sit and have time. So I was doing to her what I needed.
Right. So when he gets upset, he needs time. And he doesn't want to keep the conversation going because he like, no, I need a minute.
Yeah.
And he actually needs to go and have a minute. I don't need a minute because I could, a whole lot of negative stuff can go through my head. Give me an hour and I've concocted a whole real negative story.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens when I would do that, that would send her back into he doesn't care. Is he really into me like that?
Yep.
He's not protecting me because the biggest need of a woman is feel safe. It's feel safe and safety, safe and secure. And at that moment, she's not getting it because all those things are bleeding back in. And that's what happens when we have past trauma, especially past trauma we haven't identified,
right?
Or why we're moving certain ways and why we react in certain ways. And when you recognize it, or people keep saying it all the time, like, man, you kind of just shut people down. You just kind of don't ignore them and get upset. Because most likely you're gonna shut them down too and be done with them.
Right.
You need to really pull back and say, okay, what's going on?
Like I had to pull back and go, okay, so he forgot what I said. Why does it make me so upset?
Yeah.
Or when I felt like you weren't listening, why was I so upset? Why was I so bothered to the point where I was thinking like, does he really love me that much? Or does he really care? If he's not paying attention to me, I don't know if he feels like I'm interesting. Like I went through all these scenarios in my head, not understanding that I thought so negatively because of what I had been through.
Yes.
And because like, I had an excellent relationship with my mom. She never forgot anything I said. I never forgot anything she said. People always jive on me now. They like, why do you remember everything? I remember everything.
Yes, she does. Everything, yeah.
I remember everything. And the fact that
do any of y'all got a spouse or anything like that? You could just hit. No, you know what? Maybe you don't want to hit the thumbs up or say me too. I want you in trouble later.
Get people in trouble and stuff.
But go ahead.
But yeah, so I would remember everything. And I felt like, that's loving, caring, giving your undivided attention and all this, that, and that. And I said, well, you remember this? No, I don't remember that. Well, how about when we talked about this? We talked about that. Like, okay, didn't we say we're going to go here? We said we're going to go here. It was just like, okay, he don't like me.
Yeah. And
But it was because of what I had been through.
Yeah, and it's something like, as we were going through all the different things that, past trauma causes,
Yep.
uh and people not understanding how it's affecting them daily.
Yes.
And what happens is, a part of it is that, because it becomes so normal for that to be your defense mechanism for dealing with problems and struggles, you don't realize it's abnormal.
Yes.
And this abnormal thing that's going on will actually cause destruction in relationships, your future goals, because of fear of whatever happened in your past. You're afraid of failing.
Like, because certain experiences might feel very normal. Like, it was normal that there were people that grew up in a single parent household in my mind.
Yeah.
It was normal that people dealt with, maybe having a close family member that had substance abuse issues.
Yeah.
It was normal, maybe having somebody that's very close pass away. That doesn't mean it's not traumatic. And it doesn't mean it's not shaping your thoughts and perceptions about other people and life. It does. And that's the problem. Sometimes we tend to not be able to identify why we have some of the same struggles. Sometimes you can feel like you're on an emotional merry-go-round where you're like, here's this struggle again. Why am I back to this? Or okay, say somebody was talking about you and it just sends you in this whole negatively,
of course,
sends you in this whole downward spiral. Like, I ain't never talking to them, and you're just so bothered. Because really, if somebody was talking about you, you should really just kind of be like, well, that's their opinion.
Yeah.
But if that's not your mindset and it really bothers you and it really makes you upset and everything else, there's probably something so that is foundational, something that happened that really messes you up, really bothers you when somebody is speaking negatively about you.
Yeah, this is something when I'm providing therapy and I'm dealing with adults 70, 80, 60, 50, and or like I said, we're dealing with couples, and it'll be things where they're simply saying, when they make this comment and it made them so upset, and they're like, I don't understand why they made them so upset.
Right.
And then we start digging and said, well, what's the comments you remember early on that made you this upset, yada yada. And they say, well, my mom used to say negative things about me. When I was in school, people always said this about me and put me down. So all that is now happening in a situation where it's not exactly the same, but it reminds you of that. And all you remember is that people rejected me.
And so all of a sudden your spouse is putting you down when your spouse is like, no, I'm just kind of telling you how I feel about it, or sharing my opinion. But then it's like, but you're putting me down. But if the other person doesn't feel like they're putting you down, there's a chance that they're actually not putting you down. That is just what you've tied together emotionally from something else that's happened.
Yeah. And one of the things I had is that it was kind of a like, is it your responsibility, as especially those in a relationship, to help your partner through their trauma? Is it your responsibility? Because you see so many things on social media nowadays, and people say, listen, it's my responsibility for myself. My partner need to take care of themselves. So is it your responsibility to be there for your partner and help them through their trauma? Like, well, that's her. She got daddy issues. She needs to work on that. Those are things.
And see, if you said that to me,
I want to keep my teeth.
That has just been, that's just heartless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But people do say that to each other.
Yeah, all the time.
Like, hey, you have daddy issues and you need to work on yourself. That might be true.
Yeah. So
But
for
like
instance,
saying
let's
it,
go back.
though.
Let's go back to our situation. So when she was telling me, hey, don't let me sit after we have a situation, or fight to remember what I said. So guess what I did?
Camilla.
Hey, Camila. So I hope I said your name right. Probably tore it up. It's all right. She does better with names. And sorry about that if I did. But what I started doing on my end was, even though emotionally I'm like, I don't want to go talk about this because she's still bothered. She gonna come at me. She gonna remember everything from day one. Every breath I took that was out of order, and she gonna count them down. It was like, but she needs me, and I got to be in place to protect my wife. And that's what it's called. God calls me to be the priest of my home and to be a protector of my home. So I got to step in now and say, hey, what's going on? So,
and I had to do better and learn to be gentle, even when I was very upset about something. It's not about always getting your emotions out. It's about making sure you communicate in the most effective way to get beyond where you are at the time.
Yeah.
And not to win an argument.
Yeah. I mean, you guys got to understand, it is so much, so in depth about trauma. That was why, like in our community, a
We
marriage
did a
retreat,
whole month.
a marriage retreat,
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
We did a whole month of dealing with trauma,
Yes.
and it was
Whole
so
month.
much that when a month ended, it was a month that had 5 weeks in it, because we do 5 weeks. After the end of the 5 weeks, we were still like, man, it's still more.
It can still go. I mean, breaking down trauma, how to overcome it, how to help your spouse overcome it,
Yep.
how to help a close family member overcome it, and all of that.
How to recognize it.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is it's hard to just do it alone. Because when you're thinking in your own mind, you're always right.
Oh yeah, always.
You know what I mean?
I'm always.
I feel like I'm always right, and you point out when I'm not. I'll be thinking you're crazy, but
yeah.
That's
exactly.
the truth of the matter.
Yeah.
It's like, if I feel this way, my feelings are valid.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the feelings are valid, but where is the foundation of those valid feelings?
Yeah.
And are they true though?
Yeah.
They might be valid, but are they true to the situation?
And that is why when you have a good spouse or a good friend,
you calling me a good spouse?
Yeah. They are going to be accountable with you. But the worst part, if you can't handle dealing with people being straight up with you, you're going to want to cut them off. For like, they trying to hurt me. And they just give you the truth. Like, hey, yo, man, you can't get where you want to go because you lazy. And it's like, they dog me out. And it's like, well, as we do in sessions, when we're doing therapy, we'll say, well, do you think you may be a little lazy? Is it things that you give up on? And they say, oh, you quit fast. And they're like, well, yeah, I probably do. So why are you cutting them off? Because they don't care about me. Because they say, wait, if they didn't care about you, why would they give you the truth? I just know, because I don't want to face myself.
That lazy word is offensive, though.
Yeah, you might want
to be like,
may the one that use lazy, especially to your spouse. You say, I just feel like you don't got to get up and go at times. You got to learn to phrase it.
Or how about, what can I do to help you get this going?
Yeah. That's like my.
How can I help you with this?
Yeah.
I
see
over the years we trying to pretty up those words.
So that's what you've been using on me all this time.
Absolutely. That method works.
So
what you up like a biscuit and you be like, yes, what we doing? What's happening?
So I guess you take one of the things we always say. One of the things I say to people, I said, listen here. I ask people what is their favorite dish, and they'll say mine is steak.
Yeah.
So if anybody ever want to treat me, just steak. Okay.
No, because if it's cooked well, you'd be like, take that mess back.
Gotta be medium.
He like it with the juices.
Okay, all right. Let me get to the story, man. People don't
kind of looks like blood running out. That to me,
bro.
I'm gonna need the meat.
That's the proteins coming out.
And the protein is the meat.
Then when you heat,
it's gonna have to be brown.
Then when you heat the steak up the next day, perfect.
Or you eat it that day.
Nah. I like it like a 20 ounce.
Medium well is better.
You're going to make me forget my story about the steak.
Okay, my bad. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'm going to drink.
So,
I'll be quiet.
Okay. With the steak, like I was saying, and for all my medium medium people out there, say, oh, people hating, put up, yeah, boy. That's it right there. Yeah, medium. So I say, their favorite food is steak. But I'll say, okay, so they brought you a steak, cooked it up for you, smelling good, all the toppings. And they brought it to you. Parmesan encrusted. I love that. Mushrooms. Yep. And they bring it to you, but when they bring it to you, it's on a silver garbage can top. And I ain't talking about like a fancy restaurant, straight outside garbage can top. You're going to be like, what? And you're going to be insulted. And you're going to be bothered. Even though that steak is good, but it's on a garbage can top, you ready to fight now. Because your mouth is all watery for a steak.
Right.
And now you're disgusted. I said, but if you take that same steak and you put it on a nice plate, and you got the glass plate you use for only at Thanksgiving, and you got all the toppings and the stuff down the side, you're going to bring that steak to them. They're going to say, thank you. I appreciate it. They're going to smash that boy.
That's right.
When we have our delivery, you can deliver the same thing, but it matters what you deliver it on.
It's all about the presentation.
All about the presentation. And so that's what's key even when you're working through and trying to help somebody with their trauma.
Even though it might be a little offensive, their trauma can be offensive and uncomfortable.
Like if you got to tell them, man, you a people pleaser.
It's just using the words. Like I
said, you can't use. Yeah, I feel like you instead of saying you're a people pleaser, you could say, I feel like sometimes you hurt yourself by trying to make others, take care of things for others, and you actually putting yourself in jeopardy, and many times your family in jeopardy, and so you don't want to put others.
That man learned how to butter too. Y'all heard that, right?
I'm a therapist. I better know how to do it. People not gonna want me. They gonna fight me in my office.
Exactly.
So, so you gotta know how to do that, because you get some people in there, boy. But it's a thing where it just everybody deals with trauma. I mean, like I said, I it's so many more levels to this, so many more different things about it, so many different areas with it, and how to work through it. That was why we started the weekly marriage retreats for those couples to say, you know what, I want to just build my family. I want to build my marriage. I want to find all the things. And so,
we also, because we were young in marriage, and it was just kind of like when I say trial and error, it was too many trials and too many errors.
Yeah.
And we just wanted people to have somebody that they can ask, and without going through all of the heartache and ups and downs, because we had a lot of ups too.
Yeah.
Good times out of good times, but we did have a lot of struggles.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice to have somebody like to bounce something off of, like, help me out real quick. Like,
yeah.
It's not going well.
And what's happening today, we got all these people on social media giving all this advice. And they've been through 3 divorces, not married, 5 baby mamas, not married to the one they with. And also it is all, and they just
slapping their girlfriend and
acting up, and it's just they trying to give all this marriage advice, and we're hearing it and we saying this is awful. And that was part of why we said, okay, we gotta go live with, instead of it being just a podcast, let's go live with it now, because we want to help couples out more than for those who want it more in depth. Hey, we got a whole marriage community, and I think we had it scrolling across the bottom if you want to know more about that. But it's a thing where, go ahead, I'll let you talk.
No, I even wanted to say, like, sometimes the best healing, the fastest even, comes when somebody else knows what's going on and they learn how to support you.
Yeah.
So many times people are offended by other people's responses to traumatic things they have going on in their life, and they feel like they're, like projecting on them, like, you acting like I did it. I didn't do it. But, people have dealt with this, like, they've been in a relationship with somebody, but because their ex did this, now they worried about them doing this, that, the other.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I didn't do that. Well, it's because what they've been through, and it was traumatic to them.
Yeah.
It hurt them real bad. And because it hurt them real bad, they're trying to avoid that. And so knowing certain things, can help. It can be helpful to the person, but also help the person grow beyond, where that thing doesn't have to stifle them from moving forward anymore.
Yeah.
You like,
trauma, man.
Yeah, it's real.
It's real. It's real, and it's something that singles need. People just need for life. People need for their marriages, to know how to work through it and know how to identify it, or your trauma gonna take you out and take
it keeps following you. And sometimes it compounds.
Yeah. It compounds easily.
Trauma after trauma after trauma, and this trauma influences that one. And then, so you could find yourself, just like I said, not being able to have a stable relationship. And oftentimes we hear people all the time when we're doing counseling and therapy, it's them.
Yeah.
Well, some of it might possibly be you, but some of it might possibly be you.
And what's your name right there? What's your name right there was complex trauma. Okay. That's when you have several different types of trauma happening, and you've been through them all, and now it's happened several times over, and now this affects you on a whole different level.
Yeah. So,
man,
it's important.
Yeah, it's important. And we're gonna be back, y'all.
We are.
We gonna be back. We gonna be doing this regularly. We hopefully see y'all every other Thursday, and in between popping up with some stuff here and there. Because we gotta get to the marriage
community. Yeah.
Our weekly marriage. It's tonight
session. But we did want to just share some of that food for thought with y'all. And look, if there are certain topics that y'all want to hear about or whatever, please put them in the chat.
Yeah.
Anything you just like, if something's coming up and you're hoping our next podcast is about that, or one coming up in the future, we definitely want to hear your suggestions, because we've had the opportunity to be healed and get through a lot of stuff. But if there's something out there, and we will be, confidential, we're not gonna put your business out there. But So yeah, if there's something you want to hear about, something you want us to talk about, we'll talk about it because we probably have dealt with it in some capacity or helped others through it. So.
Yeah. And as you guys see at the bottom, subscribe to the website. We got a free gift for you guys who subscribe. You learn more about the weekly marriage retreats we have on the website and all those things like that. And of course, following the pages because we want to do this regularly. We want you guys to be a part of it as we go through this journey, man. We gonna make it.
Yeah.
So we gonna make it. God by our side, God leading us. We gonna
All
make
the
it.
time. So again, for our friends in Hawaii, pray for them.
Yes.
They're gonna come through. They're gonna be safe.
Yeah.
Ohio, praying for you guys.
Oh man, but we done, baby.
Yep.
Okay, so y'all have a good evening. But hey, guys, be blessed.
And be healed. Love
Love
y'all.
ya.